Okay, you've done the JK flip-flop waveform analysis practice problems, and now we're going to apply that to a circuit. And this circuit here, our goal is to make a 1 to 6 counter. And so the first thing I want you to do is I want you to make a visual. And you want to do this anytime you make a counter. It's a visual aid that you do so that you don't make mistakes when you make your counter. So what I do is I know if I'm counting, yeah, let's see if I can get this out there. If I want to make a 1 to 6 counter, the first thing that goes through my head is, well, how many bits do I need? Well, 7 bits would, the maximum number of bits I'd need would be 3, right? Because 6 would be 110. So I'm going to need a 3-bit counter, so that's what I've got here. And the first thing I did is I hooked up my clock, and we're going to make this is for an asynchronous counter. So the clock's driving the first flip-flop, that's Q0. I made it toggle. I made this guy toggle. I made that guy toggle. And then I put in their the on-page connectors. And if you want to get a shortcut to make an on-page connector, Control-Alt-0. So I'm going to do that Control-O, the letter O. If you hit Control-Alt-O, I gotta be in the right spot here. Control-Alt-O. Oh, I'm recording. I should be able to do that. I thought it was Control-Alt. Let's see. Place. Maybe I got it wrong. Control-Alt plus O. That's what I was hitting, but it's not working this time. Oh, there we go. Okay. So I'm going to place that guy there, and since I already made Q0, Q1, Q2, I can just find Q0. And the reason why I'm just showing you this really quick is, A, that's a nice little shortcut. I'm trying to hold the mic and do it at the same time, so that's why it's a little clunky. And just keep in mind that the least significant bit from the counter comes there, but as far as looking at it on the screen, our Control-Alt-O, there we go, worked better that time. We'll do Q0, and I'm going to just rotate that around. Boom. Just keep them up. I went a little bit too far, didn't I? Alright, so just keep in mind that my least significant bit for the DCD hex, or if I use Logic Probes, and I do both, because it's good to see it here, FarBrain, but also you want to be seeing that in binary. So I definitely would do both. Alright, so now back to this visual. 3-bit counter. And what I do is I just count in binary, whether it's an up, down, or down counter. I just start out at 0, 0, 0, say if it's 3 bits, and I count 1, 1, 1. All right? That's the first thing I do. Now, if I'm told to make a 1 to 6, inherently that means it's an up counter. So what I do next is I draw an arrow where you see it. Okay? What I'm going to be doing is taking off these black boxes and kind of explain what I'm doing. So I know which direction my count is going, and that's important. I'll show you why in a second. Okay, the next thing I do is I indicate which of these numbers, which of these binary numbers, I want to see for my 1 to 6 counter. And here's how I do that. Boom, so I do that kind of little fancy thing, and I say display. So I'm basically, this is my visual aid, so I don't make mistakes, saying I need to display the number 001 all the way through 110. Now why I do that is, and why I have the arrow, is it tells me where my go-to step is. Now what I mean by that is this, whoops, I'm on the wrong thing here. See if I can click on the box. No, that's what I want. Okay, so my count is going to go 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. Then it's briefly, ever so briefly, going to flash. If you see it flash, it might briefly flash 111 up here. At that point, I want to put some logic in here that's going to force my most significant bit, which would be right here where I'm circling my mouse, right there, my most significant bit. I want to force the nanosecond that I have 1 and 1 and 1. When Q1, Q says Q0, Q1. When Q2 is a 1 and Q1 is a 1 and Q0 is a 1, then I want to force my most significant bit to become a 0. I want to force my middle bit to be a 0, and I want to force my least significant bit to be a 1. That's where the presets and clears come in. So what I'd like you to do is to think about, you're going to need to add another gate or gates on here. And you're going to need to finish up hooking up all these guys here. Basically going to kind of be copying that. But what I want you to do is to see how you can use this visual to make your 1 to 6 counter. Once you have it working, show me your working skit, and then I'll tell you what to do from there. Thank you. That's the end of the 1 to 6 counter.